in 3, 2, 1, go. Hello, everybody. It's Gearface here. I am joined by. Wait a minute, Snow Catsune. But Snow Catsune, you're in this match against KzbUlti. How could it be?
I know, it's so strange,
Yeah,
isn't it?
there's two of you.
I am in fact a multi-dimensional being.
Yep. Yeah, there's more than one Snow Catsune. That's the secret. We are doing some post commentary about a match that was played last week, a round three match of the new Challenger Mentor tournament between friend of the show, our very own Snow Catsune, in the booth with me, and KzbUlti. KzbUlti uh, repping nine for the first match, having absolutely no respect for how difficult it is to track nine's cards on commentary for me. And Snow Catsune, at this point in his tournament run, still ride or die Propeller Knight. Has gone through pretty much the entirety of the bracket so far, only playing Propeller Knight. And so we will see a couple of games of Snow, your Propeller Knight, into KZB's team. And I liked this match a lot the first time I saw it, and I'm hoping to like it again.
Yeah, I remember it was very interesting. There were a couple times where a couple fumbles on both ends.
No spoilers, but I remember there being some confusion that is going to be a good time to resolve. Before we start here, I wanted to get your insight into why you started with Propeller Knight. Were you anticipating a specific pick out of your opponent, or was this kind of just your comfort pick against his team?
This was at this point in time. This was mostly the comfort pick. I wasn't sure if they were gonna go with nine or beheaded, but I think they're more comfortable with nine
Mm-hmm.
typically,
Mm-hmm.
from what I've seen. I know that they know that I don't like beheaded, even though I didn't ban it this set.
Who did you ban? Remind me. It's been a while since this set.
I I banned their Arakune
Okay, and
because
and
KZB is famous for their very complicated characters.
yeah, hence nine. I guess beheaded is probably the simplest thing that KZB's got.
Yeah, I was very surprised when they said they were bringing beheaded here.
Hmm.
Like it didn't really seem their style.
Yeah, it's not the KZB way. Um, so and on your end, the ban KZB banned Polar. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe it was Polar,
So you
who had
had
a propeller
you had
and
Propeller and
phone on
Phonon
left.
on deck. So as we get started here, I will do my best to keep track of Nine's very complicated game state. We'll see how well that goes down, especially as we as we see some kind of weird moving in and out of Nine's spell book over the course of his first game. Um,
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting on your end. I think she has nine specials.
yeah, something
Doesn't
like
seem
that.
unlike the
That
usual seven.
yeah, and the whole only one of them's in play at a time, and you seal all your stuff. It'll be great. Um,
Oh, yeah, this is going to be a grand time for
yeah,
you.
so maybe nobody paid too close attention uh to Nine's side of the tracker. Looks like we're getting started here. Um, Snow playing first. You've got your range 4 Propeller Knight down. How do you generally describe your play style? I've noticed a couple things about the way you play, watching you here and there, but how do you think you play this game?
I don't think I ended up playing the game like I thought I would.
Hmm.
I thought I would end up. Well, I still ended up sort of with zoners, but Polar is not the type of zoner I was expecting more rangers in my kit,
Sure.
and then I tended to focus more on the movement oriented characters and those that could buff their uh, cards in some way. It's hence why I
And hence
went
your
with
your
the
your team name
yeah, exactly, the plus power party.
plus Power Party, the maxing out on the alliteration meta.
With phone on her flip side and also propeller on their flip side, it's a lot of mover reach, advance to retreat one, then strike.
Hmm.
And I started off playing the game with Hazama.
Okay, so you kind
I
of
think
got
believe
that
there
that built in. moving back and forth thing as part of his kit as well. So we got first strike coming out from you here. Um, Sorry to interrupt. After nine moved to range one first turn, which is an interesting play for a zoner.
I was very surprised when they did that. I nine of all people, I was not expecting to advance into range one.
Yeah, I'm so at this point you're wondering, do you have Lapis in hand for the on curve offense? Are you trying to just play normals early on? You're striking and yep. Okay, so yeah, the sweep comes out into Propeller Pull. So basically the same card.
Yeah, it is essentially just a sweep.
Yep. So we're just gonna sweep each other here. Gets rid of the other copy of Cross on KZB's side, which you hate to see. Um,
I know that must have felt so bad. I
yeah,
cross is a very vital tool for any sort of zoner ranger like
yeah. Just
nine
just
is.
just to back up when you feel like backing up. Um, so the spike goes down into gauge for nine. Um, and she will be pulling out. I think Amethyst is the card that sweep
I
gets
think
you.
so.
So
I believe
you're
it's called amethyst.
you've got kind of a pair. Yep, there's Amethyst. Amethyst is up. Um, and then on your side, we'll see what you drop. I remember a lot of slow into slow interactions this game. That is not the right card that I should be looking at. That looks to me. Can you tell what card that is that you just dropped? The perils of
That
post
is
commentary.
a swoop.
You
That is the one range, essentially 3 power, 7 speed,
yeah move
advance up to
yeah
3.
advance up to three afterward. Your force special. So you get hit by sweep, you lose to swoop, which sounds about right. All right, so we are sealing that copy of Amethyst. To get another copy, I remember this play confusing me quite a bit. Where
I remember this confusing quite a few people in the
yeah,
Discord.
you
They were
have
asking them about it after, and I don't remember what his thought process was here.
you have the copy of Emerald of Enmity in your hand, and you trade out one to get the other, sacrificing a card in the process. To me that bit of hand manipulation, I can't see what it accomplishes, but I also don't play nine, and I don't know anyone who does. So I
I I believe I know what happened here. Wait, was that cross already in the sealed area? Maybe.
yes. Well, no, actually, you know what? It wasn't because he played one to move in and then lost the other in the um when you propeller pulled him into the corner.
That's right. So that's what it was. He was trying to get another normal into the sealed area to start boosting his specials.
I got you. Okay. All right. So it's not just the cards that you have access to; it's what's in your sealed area. That makes sense. And KZB taking a quick bathroom break here, which actually gives us the opportunity, I think, to talk a little bit about Nine's game plan at this point. You can see me going over and making sure that I've got what just happened correct, so I can keep things on track because I don't know anything about Nine. But so at this point, Nine's in the corner, having just been propeller pulled. Uh, I believe that was your initiation. So it's
Yes,
Nine's
it was.
it's Nine's turn. You have to think. Here we're talking about Digimon, the most important thing to be talking about
Yes.
during an Exceed game. Um, uh, my thought is that Nine either wants to get you away from her or get away from you herself. Um, you've got both copies of Cross down. You might have the opportunity to get one back later on through some weird hand management. But right now, you're cornered. You kind of have one turn to get out of that corner before Propeller Knight starts to do his thing. Um, what are you in this situation, what's your worst case scenario? Are you trying to keep nine in the corner? Was that the point of that propeller pull, or are you just kind of playing the cards that you have in your hand right now?
No, I was definitely trying to get her into the corner. As soon as she moved into range one and
Mm-hmm.
I had the pull in hand, I knew getting her into the corner was more than likely my goal for this. And
Yep.
it seemed fairly safe. I don't think uh she had mutts that would contest that.
Yep. And it looks like
the
we're choosing to spend a copy of Azurite uh, to move back out again. But in that time, they needed to play that to get out, and in that time, you managed to get a +2 power on the field. So I think still a win for you.
Yeah, I think this is still in my advantage here. I mostly was worried about, I believe 9 has a push at range 2 that could get me out.
Mm.
And if I remember correctly, I believe it was the Fierce that would have putting me just above
above the
losing to that.
above the armor threshold for it or the guard threshold for it.
Yes. I don't remember Nine's cards exactly, unfortunately. Because he's not chained very much.
Yeah, especially not in this tournament. At our level of play, I think 9 is extremely intimidating. Even newly dedicated zoner main and host of this game, DXD, I think did not bring 9 on their team.
Yeah, I was a little surprised when KZB went to the complicated ones right off. We are, for those that don't know, a lot of the newer players came from the Fate domination community,
Mm-hmm.
which includes me, DXD, KZB, and I believe there's one other,
Uh,
Ushi,
yeah,
another one
Ushi's
was
from
the
there.
last one.
I think maybe negative A as well, focus into sweep.
Yes, they are as well.
So the incursion of the Fate Dom players into the Exceed community has been pretty well documented. Uh, Repping that 8 power sweep, maybe a potential misplay drops the other copy of focus too. It's hard to deal with. Maybe a misplay on KZB's side there, forgetting that the focus is a little bit less safe when you've got when your opponent has +2 power down. Not getting that card draw, losing another copy of focus. Yeah,
I believe that focus with, if your opponent has a Fierce, I believe focus is just not the play in most cases
yeah.
because
It it's
they're just
it's your trading card, and it's the card that you use to trade. And suddenly there's well, I mean, there's not that many things that hit at 6 power, but there's enough to make me not want to play that card.
yeah,
Um,
it feels very unsafe
yeah,
in most cases
yeah. And also
with at least one power
we
that can get a bit scary sometimes.
we saw both copies of Cross already go down on KZB's side, which means that you're probably pretty safe playing that sweep. They're unlikely to cross out as you strike again in this position. Just taking advantage of the fact that 9 is at range 1 here. Um,
I believe that 9 does have another option to move back. That's I
Another
mid
propeller pull
speed at
into
least.
another sweep. So yep. So far, basically everything that has been played so far has been some kind of slow. Um,
You're
so
right. There were a lot of slow
lot
interactions
of
this
slow
game.
interactions. Overpowered sweep into focus, sweep into propeller pull, sweep into propeller pull. As you drop your copy of assault, and we lose a block on
And,
9's side. Uh,
and we've got 9 back in the
Back in
corner
that
again.
same corner again. Into another prep from 9. Uh, yeah, I don't think 9 elected to drop the other copy of sweep either to pick up the other copy of Amethyst. It might not uh, the way that I'm not actually sure the way that works if you can have more than one copy from your spellbook at a time. But the
No,
Saber
I
Lunge here.
believe
Sorry, go ahead.
the way that 9 works is I believe the hit is you seal a special from your sealed area to get some. You seal the attack that you're attacking with to get the same speed
Right,
into your hand, which
right.
I believe you can get the same copy of.
Okay. And so you've got your Swift with some extras down here. Again, just taking advantage of the fact that 9's in the corner. Um, uh, Jalen, another co-commentator of mine and another mentee in this tournament, refers to the corner when, as soon as you, at our level of play especially, as soon as you get into the corner, uh, your turns start taking longer because you know that you're disadvantaged and you're starting to think very hard about your moves. He calls it the thinking corner.
I like that. That feels very appropriate. And we have 9 boosting Emerald grasp to get.
To get is that
Uh,
Lapis?
sorry, they were using the grasp as force to get back their other card.
And what card did they pull back there?
It
Um,
was the 2 speed, I believe it
oh,
was.
the other copy, the other Amethyst.
Oh no, sorry, 3.
Yeah, impossible for me to track.
It is very tough to follow Nine's game state.
Yeah, interesting to pull Kunzite here then, if that is what nine pulled. I've got to think that you're using it as a boost in this situation because two speed. I'm sorry, two range for Propeller Knight. He can just hit you out of it. You know, like Kunzite is your ranged punish tool, your X ranged punish tool. And I appreciate seeing you on your side of the board there, kind of fastidiously tracking the cards that Nine has as well, because I also don't know what's happening when Nine is playing her cards. We see at the
It
top of the
is
screen there KZB just diligently flipping cards over. I'm sorry, Snow, just diligently flipping cards over.
it took me so long at certain points of this game to try and track what was going on in Nine's deck.
It's not easy. I think that there's a lot to be said about the complexity of a character being intimidating for the player playing that character, but also just playing against that character. For me, I never know what Lychee's doing. I never really know what Nine is doing, and I will make plays because I can't read the game state that end up being, dramatic misplays just because I I don't find their kits as legible because they're doing so many weird hand motions. That
I believe you said it before, Gear, but there is the very strong possibility to be able to knowledge check your way through a game
Oh sure, yeah, especially at this level.
level
Like
of play.
yeah, if you just know what your character does and your opponent doesn't know what your character does. That is frequently enough of an edge to win you a game. So a, another thing that was interesting about that play from Nine there is getting Kunzite into hand when you have a boost up in the corner or when she's in the corner. I feel like uh, playing that boost to get the thing that you want into your hand works, but in order to get yourself out of this threatening situation, it needs to be something that can help you right now. And I don't think that Kunzite can. You're using your turn to do it. It's going back to your opponent. And now Snow, with his +1 speed, +1 power, is is ready to hit you with something.
This boost from Propeller is one of my favorite boosts in the game. It is very similar to an EX, and when you're staring it down, it's very intimidating. Oh, there's
Yep.
the third copy of Sweep.
Yep. Yet another third copy of sweep. Two propeller pulls, one sweep, another sweep. Yeah. So I think that's actually all of your sweep likes down at this point. Nine wild swinging a dive to get out of there. Really really important to uh to to dodge that. Otherwise, you're sitting at what 5 life and you're losing another card after I think 4 whole attacks from Propeller Knight. So really crucial wild swing there. As they looks like they're bringing in Lapis.
Oh, I think they are they
I, I,
grabbing
I don't think
Coral?
I don't think they can actually, because they didn't hit. So
Oh, that's
I,
true.
I
That's
think
right.
yeah I think that this is a situation where yeah it looks like you are saying that exact thing. Uh, don't hit. Oh yeah yeah so
There
yeah
were a couple times during these games where there were invalid game states and cards were put onto the board, which luckily I didn't see any
right
of these cards,
right
but it happened.
yeah I think it like that's the risk right of playing a very 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 um complicated character like that. You end up sort of gaming yourself a little bit, where there are so many things going on at once that, it, especially when you're fairly new, the way that we are, you'll miss something. And like you said, luckily, you were not paying attention at the time when they played that, but um, you run the risk of really sort of messing yourself up.
Oh, and 9 initiating the strike
Yep,
this
strike
time.
from 9 at range 2 here. One of the first strikes this game that 9 has initiated.
Do you remember what the boost on Navy pressure does by
I
chance?
don't off the top of my head, no.
I believe it might be similar to
Yeah, it
defend.
looks like armor guard seal card from your hand. So you've got your copy. I think 9 pulled lapis, which doesn't really help here. Um, but you've got some kind of slow guardy thing or I'm sorry, some kind of armor and guard to put on your whatever card you're playing. Um,
I think at this point, 9 had an amethyst that was known in hand
mhm.
for quite a long time as well. And I remember playing around it for quite a bit and not in 9 not using it for quite a long time
Mhm.
and threatening the emerald, but it the amethyst, sorry,
Mhm.
but it never came around. And there were a certain few points where I remember that I think 9 could have taken this back if they did.
Yeah. Yeah, amethyst being sort of my understanding is that it kind of it tends to trade up. It's fast attacks pretty well, and especially on offense, it hits back pretty hard and has a I think a reposition effect on it.
I think so. I think it might have a push.
Mm. We will. I mean, if they do end up playing that card, we will see. Apologies for the sort of low ability of the commentators here to keep track of how 9 works. Undercurve assault into coral. Now, coral, I mean, you outspeed it, so you're pretty happy that you do that. But I'm wondering, so you're was that just the fastest thing you had in hand when you played
I
that
think
assault?
it might have been. I I know that they had Emerald in hand and they had another quite a few other slow options, and I think Assault was the fastest thing I had at the time.
Okay, so you're doing a little bit of damage here, and I think that this might be another moment where uh, KZB thinks that they hit and is going to try to. Nope, looks like we're going right into your attack at range 1 here. This feels grasp or swoop. Yep. All right. So stuffs out the fast option with your own fast option.
Oh, that was a very fast response from 9 with that Lapis as well.
Yeah, just plays it down and looks like spent the other copy as forced to try to use it. So basically just
Oh, you're right.
kind of neuters her own fast range 1 play as she goes back into the corner. Maybe a good idea to try to keep that other lapis live in order to because it seems like you are not going to be able to get yourself out to the range you want to be anytime soon because of how effectively you've basically limited the entire game state here to 5 spaces, right? Like you've got the center left space. I'm sorry, the center space, and then the spaces left of them is kind of all that 9 has occupied this whole game. Between those propeller poles, that grasp, and just your ability to maintain that corner pressure. So I have to think that 9 kind of needs at this point. Your zoning options are very quickly unable to help you because of how effectively you've been able to box her in. So I kind of feel like you want your fast options live just to try to just brawl if you can until you can get things back online.
Yeah, I think you're right here. The a lot of the slows are gone. I believe a Lapis would have Lapis is mostly good into slows and mid speeds
Mhm.
because it can just do a little bit of damage, come back, seal your hand, steal whatever you want.
Yeah,
But
you kind of got a little bit of
le-
econ out of it.
and econ is absolutely what 9 needs. If you don't have econ on 9, you start falling apart.
Yep. We've got Exceed Side Propeller Knight out. Start doing your dancing back and forth to maintain your effective ranges. Finally giving 9 a little bit of breathing room as you retreat to range 4 on your terms. I know that you have a plan when you do things like this, but I also have to think that on KZB's side, they're thinking, "Oh my God, finally I have a couple of spaces to try to leverage my game plan here." So if I've got anything in my hand as KZB right now that hits at this range, and as 9, I probably do. I'm striking just to try to get this game back a little bit. At the same time, though, if I'm KZ,
Propeller at range 4 is
is
very
very
dangerous.
scary. I know that you still got 3 gauge. Um, if I'm so there's the parry out. If I'm 9, I'm sorry, if I'm KZB at this point, I saw that you retreated yourself, and that scares me. I think that parry makes a lot of sense. So we've got that looks like, was that launcher?
Yes, launcher and the cannonball.
Yep. So so
They tried to get rid of the full
full broadside.
broadside, which is propeller's other special, which hits for 8
8.
damage,
Yeah, which is more than enough
and
to kill at this point.
it's stun immunity if the opponent didn't move, push or pull them up to 3,
Yeah.
which you push or pull them to the max range and hits for 8.
Yeah, so just a really really powerful card. Loses to probably just dive at this point in Nine's kit. She might have some movement, but um, yeah. So a smart parry, I think, from KZB. Unfortunately, didn't go off correctly. Has some hand information. You now have the opportunity to strike at your leisure. You've got I mean, two things honestly. Launcher seems fairly free here. Both, I think both copies of Blocker down on.
Launcher at range 4, and the other thing with the cannonball, if I use the action retreat 1 and strike with the cannonball and I hit, it will push him to range 6
Right.
with the, is it ignore guard or ignore armor?
On
I
Cannonball?
I yes, I think it's armor.
Excellent question. Um,
I'm not sure. It's ignore one of those.
it's an
Either way, it's a
it's an
decent chunk of damage.
interesting situation though, where KZV parries something and essentially effectively gets some usable information, because obviously they know your hand now, but at the same time as you're dropping those known normals, um, at the same time though, the things that you have in your hand, you've got two things that hit. You've got cannonball and launcher, and they're not. Uh, you know, you can only really defend against one of them. So, on the one hand, KZB's got quite a bit of knowledge from that hand reveal. On the other hand, if I'm KZB, I'm thinking like, well, damn it, there's two things that I'm afraid of in that hand. What am I going to do?
Going back to what you were saying earlier, thinking I have the breathing room, I can finally do something. I'm at
Yeah,
range, and then reveal
yeah.
launcher and cannonball.
Uses that breathing room to take the opportunity to find out that, oh, actually, I never had breathing room in the first place. I do still think that the parry is a good call because full broadside is such a dangerous card, but sitting on launcher and cannonball, I'm honestly like, if they successfully parry the launcher, you just hit them with cannonball, and you're still probably pretty happy.
I do agree. Full broadside was a great parried target. Just in general, that's the most threatening thing
Yeah.
at this time.
And so 9 maybe prepping, just hoping to get something that can beat both sides of that mix up. I don't really think that there's anything that 9 has that can really deal with launcher. So I think that prep actually might have been better spent moving out of range 4. Because
I
Cannonball,
think
you
so.
know, if you've got Assault, if you've got Dive, Cannonball can work. With Launcher, I don't really think you have any recourse other than an EX, and there's no EXs live that can deal with it. I think that Launcher is
Yeah.
just a dominant card at this point and can almost kill.
Launcher is very dominant. The only thing it loses to are slows and mid speeds with guard, because I believe it hits for
It hits for 5.
5.
Yeah, it hits for 5 if you've got your range, which you pretty much it's Launcher. You pretty much always do. Uh,
Yeah, launcher is only range 4. You've always got
yeah.
you
Um.
active.
So I'm wondering then. So you're hitting for 5. You're trading down if they happen to play a sweep or a focus or something. Most of the slow options are down here. I think that maybe 9 doesn't have anything up that can really even trade well with Launcher. But also you have 18 life. And if you are uh, trading down with a sweep when your opponent has or with a slow option that they respond to your launcher with when your opponent has 6 life, you're still probably pretty happy because you have
Yeah,
more life to
ultimately
spend.
it's putting them down to 1 life when I have a huge life gain, a
Yeah,
huge life lead. Now, me not moving here very obviously telegraphs this is
it's
launcher.
launcher and not cannonball of the two sides of the mix up. And also, I mean, cannonball is something that you can do things about, and launcher isn't, which is why I think that prep from 9 the turn previous was, you might be getting options. You might find assault or you might find dive, and that might help you with cannonball. But launcher's in your hand, and and nothing you have can deal with launcher at range 4, which I think kind of means that you are required to move to range 2 because otherwise
Yeah,
otherwise Propeller Knight just backs up and plays launcher anyway.
yeah, that's the thing. You would think that Rain 9 would be safer at range,
Right.
but there's nowhere for her to back up to. If she retreats, I will
You walk in one
advance into her
and lunge
in
or
movement.
launcher.
So the oddly enough, 9, contrary to her natural game plan, I believe, wants to get up close and start
Yeah.
trying to just hit cleanly with some strikes.
And
And I think that's the
unfortunately
only way you're coming back at this
and
moment.
unfortunately one of the things that she can hit cleanly with Lapis is both copies of those are down. She's got a grasp up. She's got a couple copies of assault up. There's no crosses left. So she's kind of run herself out of fast options. I actually maybe think that one thing that could have uh, gotten 9 out of this situation is a reshuffle a little bit earlier to get some of those options that she lost live. So this
We,
is
I
yep.
was talking with KZB a bit after this game and with a few other people in the Discord,
Mhm.
and we came to the conclusion that the main reason that KZB is in this situation is because they sealed themselves out of their options that they needed to win the
Yep,
game.
I agree. Carrying grasp, no grasp in hand, which means that you probably have checkmate ready. There's a very fast parry coming out of you as soon as that strike ended. You've got an amethyst. You were right that they've been sitting on that for a very long time. That kunzite is they sealed it earlier or they brought it from their sealed area earlier and it hasn't really helped them yet. Dive and spike also have very very little utility here. So basically just dropping the whole hand. At this point, 9 essentially out of cards. So finally triggering that reshuffle. Uh, as it might be a little bit too late here to to get things back on track for 9. I think that reshuffle in order to just keep some of your options live to prevent Propeller Knight from being able to notice. I mean the fact that you track cards so carefully makes me think that you are noticing very quickly that, oh, suddenly everything that 9 has at range 4 loses to launcher and things like that.
Yeah, I in most cases I'm pretty meticulous about the card tracking
Mm-hmm.
because I want to know at all times what could possibly be happening.
Yep.
How could I possibly lose? What is the worst possible situation?
Sure. No, that makes total sense. I do the same thing. I mean, I made a Excel spreadsheet, and it turns out that it's useful for commentary too. But the
You made an Excel spreadsheet?
oh yeah, I mean, if you check out this VOD after it goes up, you'll see the overlay is being controlled by a spreadsheet. Reading coming out from KZB, maybe reading, my guess is like a spike or a dive, but just because of the range here, very little that um, that's not how
Oh,
reading works.
I
Yeah,
remember this is what one of those things we were talking about with the invalid game state.
yeah,
You cannot reading a special.
yeah,
And he
and
knew it was there and they called it and we
yeah,
realized afterwards that can't happen.
yeah, and I like that you pulled it out and then we're like, hey, wait a minute. Or Hans probably dying in his chair. Um,
Yeah, oh god, Hans was having must have been having a fun time.
yeah, so definitely, I think on both sides some nerves. You're at one life. It's it's a bracket game. You're feeling the pressure of competition, and all of a sudden you've got your. I mean, reading is a potential way to get back into this game. You name the thing that they don't, that they have in their hand that doesn't hit here. You strike with something to get advantage, but unfortunately, um, that's not how reading works. If you were playing as Alice, you've got that online with your super reading, but
I knew there was a super parry. I didn't know
yeah,
there was a super
yeah,
reading.
any card, same character has it. Alice is There's a reason that Alice is broken. So KZB kind of forced to think fast here and decide on something. My guess is the call would be dive, um, just because you are at range 1 and anything else that they hit with will kill them. I don't think you have any spikes left up. One of them's on the field right there.
Yeah, I think all the spikes are gone.
Yeah.
I don't remember what they call, but I think we're just about to
Yeah, I
see.
think so. Yeah, and you're asking if they're calling dive because I think that's the only thing that really makes sense here.
Oh, I
Um,
think this is one thing they said it in voice
that's
call.
that's right. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, KZB is occasionally talking. We've got a below curve cross with most of the fast options down, and that as soon as we see the reveal here, that's game. Yep. Yep. So very well played on game 1 from Propeller Knight there. Uh, you got to be pretty happy about an 18-0. Some misplays, I think we can say on KZB's side. I think, but I also think that your ability to pressure that hard in the corner really takes away a lot of Nine's bite, and she needs to work very hard to find a way to get out. And I think KZB just was maybe even thinking long term when they should have been thinking short term. Just get yourself out of the bad situation that you're in, and then start like prepping for your comeback. But you're in a bad spot. You're at range 4, and there's a launcher on deck. Like, get out first, and then down to come back. Return to neutral first, rather than always trying to strike from where you are, or always trying to cull your hand from where you are.
Yeah, there were quite a few times this match where repositioning would have desperately helped Nine out of, or not out of, but at least would have improved their situation dramatically.
Yeah, we saw very little expenditures from hand, which I mean, as 9, you need economy, so it's tough to make that call sometimes, but it's definitely sometimes the right call. This comes to one of my favorite parts of this tournament is the psychology behind whether you want to stay or whether you want to switch. Um, so it is on you first as the victor, Snow, to pull out whether or not you want to switch to your other character. You elected not to. And then in response, KZB chooses to um in response, KZB chooses to stay or switch. To me, that decision is very, even though the defender is advantaged because I'm sorry, even though the loser is advantaged because they know already what the opponent has done. To me, that decision is very scary for the defender because you might be about to throw your game away based on a decision, even though you have all the information. Um, you need to evaluate very quickly, why did I lose that last game? Was it the character? Did I play bad? Did I get just call a couple mix-ups wrong and it really could have gone either way, and I think that the character I have can still do it? Like, there's a lot of reasons that you can lose a game, and you need to decide very quickly, with your back against the wall, which one it is and whether or not your character switch can help you or not. So I think it's the right call to switch to beheaded here on KZB's side, but I think that that decision is a scary one. It's one of my favorite things about this tournament structure is how much pressure that puts on you when you are asked to switch.
Oh, it is definitely a tough decision to make in a lot of situations. And in KZB's situation here, I agree with switching off to the beheaded.
Yeah,
After that first game, and there's also mind space to think of when you're switching. Like,
sure. Can
I
you
just went 18-0. How confident am I in doing this again?
how confident
Like,
am I
do,
in playing this very complicated character again too? Am I up to what 9 asks me to do right now when my back's against the wall? Is 9 a character that I can play when I'm winning or a character that I can play when I'm losing?
yeah, I certainly think Mindspace plays a lot in how how you make decisions
Mm-hmm.
in all aspects of this game. Like, I know after in a couple games, I realized there are things are not going well for me, and I don't. Is it possible for me to come back from this? And you know, start spiraling down.
Sure. I mean, and there's a difference between is it possible theoretically to come back and is it possible in my current headspace to come back?
Exactly.
Those are two different questions.
I mean, it's almost always theoretically possible. It's like,
Yep. Yeah, but
but is it
under your current
realistic?
mindset, can you do it? If you have another game, can you do it? And sometimes the answer to that is no, because you have been, you sometimes you lose the mental game before you lose the real game. Striking early on,
Oh, yeah, we got distracted with our conversation and
yeah,
missed the turn one strike
yeah,
from beheaded.
yeah, interesting. Yet another initiation with propeller pull, um, from Propeller Knight here. Really, really loves that card. Trades up on pretty much anything. Um, interesting to see Beheaded strike right away. Probably just looking for gauge. Also interesting to on your side, Snow, to let him have that gauge by playing a slow option. I mean, this does beat cleanly both sides of, I guess, all three sides of the Beheaded range 4 mix up. You've got your infantry bow, you've got your dive attack, and you've got your dive. So you're pretty happy to play any of those, but at the same time, you are giving him gauge, which with Beheaded can be very, very scary.
Yeah, getting early gauge with beheaded and him starting to snowball can get very scary very quickly.
Yeah. So even though you're up on that situation, you're 2 life up on that trade.
Oh, did my internet just cut out? Am I still here?
Yep, I can still hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
Maybe my Discord just scared me. It just made it the little booping noise when you disconnect from a call.
all good. I will if something goes wrong, then we will alert the viewers right away and try to carry on. But so far, you're still good. Um, yeah, I mean, on the one hand, you're up, right? You've got a life lead now, and it's your turn as you boost +2 speed to try to hopefully mitigate more attacks from Beheaded that will get him more gauge. But on the other hand, you have uh, you're 2 life up, but you both have 1 gauge, and you're probably more afraid of your opponent's gauge than you are happy that you have gauge. So it's a pretty interesting trade on that first turn.
I don't remember exactly my thought process here, but propeller pull in at range 4 in general, I believe, is my go-to. I very much like propeller pull on turn 1.
Yeah.
Just in general, get him in close, start moving around, and just causing problems for my opponent.
Yep. I think that makes a lot of sense. Wave of Denial is interesting there, especially because you have the um you're paying the dive that you could have used to tech the very threatening boost that you have. Now you've got Propeller Knight at range 4. Propeller Knight's very comfortable at range 4, especially with that +2 speed. Your dive attack is now offline. You can't easily capitalize on that advantage that you've just given yourself by cornering Propeller Knight until that +2 speed is down. So it's I think a difficult situation that Beheaded has put himself in there by spending those cards to get you in that corner. As they're striking, I think here we might be seeing KZB forget that +2 speed is online, because if I remember correctly, this might be a dive attack trying to trade up. Or I'm sorry, trying to beat out a dive option or something.
It's a very interesting line of play from KZB. The Wave of Denial boost is push, and if the opponent is at the edge of the arena, take another action.
Yep.
If that's a lot of resource, like you said, it's a lot of resources to spend, especially with the dive that could have been used instead of the dive attack.
Right.
It into the speed. It I don't understand.
Yeah, responding with headwind. Just yeah, speed 7 headwind. It doesn't matter how fast your dive attack is there. I think that was just a genuine misplay. I think that KZB forgot about the +2 speed, because I mean, if dive attack doesn't go off, if dive attack does go off, you respond with sweep, and you're still pretty happy, right? Like you have a number of options that make dive attack a losing proposition into the corner. And so you are pretty happy to prep here. I agree with your opponent at low life like that. You are at a range where you're pretty comfortable anyway. They're running themselves out of options at range 4 as well. They've used 1 copy of infantry bow, 1 copy of dive attack. Neither of them have worked. Breaking here. So launcher is now online. Wild swing from KZB. Grasp into the launcher.
Wild
Yep.
swing grasp and oh, I remember this now.
So brings Beheaded in. Um, interesting use of launcher there, because you are putting Beheaded into a place where you can sort of continue to contest. Um, so I have to imagine that whatever's in your hand, you're confident that you can beat whatever he's playing at range 1.
I would imagine so, but I don't remember what it was.
Past the mind of past Snow Catsune is a steel trap, and we can't hope to guess at what past Snow Catsune is trying to do here. You're 10 life up. You've got a pretty major positional disadvantage here, but it's a positional disadvantage that you caused for yourself, and having watched your games, you don't normally do that by accident. Another wild swing from Beheaded there into the cross. And that's exactly why you have that. That's exactly why you brought them in the first place, is that you had swoop in hand.
That would make sense.
Paying with the cross. Yeah, no, I mean the play makes perfect sense. The wild swing, really, really, really sucks to see. A wild swinging across and it going down. It's pretty rare that cross gets beat, but you're playing it at range 1 even if you don't mean to be.
KZB has been wild swinging quite a lot of their fast options as well.
Yep.
And just in general, their fast options are pretty limited at the moment. That's dive attack, 5 down, wave of denial, cross, grasp.
Yep. At least one of those have all been played. You got your on curve assault left here as well still, until you get tactics up. Twin daggers is not online in this position yet. You've also got your boost from swoop ready to go here, making it much more dangerous to aggress into you. Is that +1 power? Remind me what the boost on swoop is.
The swoop boost is +1 power. Now, if you are at 3 range, you may add a card from your hand to gauge.
That's right. Thank you.
Which is essentially replaces itself when you hit it when you strike.
Right. Yeah, because you will pretty much always wind up at range 3 afterward unless you strike into the corner. KZB second guessing his options here, choosing to prep instead. I think when you've got low hand size, it sometimes makes sense, especially when you have that +1 boost. And I think at this point, because you have that boost in play, you are pretty happy to prep yourself. There's that +2 speed on KZB's side, suddenly making things a lot scarier.
Yeah,
Threat,
beheaded with any sort of stat boost gets scary very
yeah,
quickly.
threatening a pretty much unstoppable dive here. Um, I mean, there's a school of thought that says that right now, Propeller Knight moves to range 1, where speed matters a little bit less. Try to maximize the pressure in the corner. If you've got a tech, you play a tech here probably. There's a few real scary boosts that Beheaded has, but for the most part, when you see the other one down, the one on Phaser on Giant Killer, you don't have the opportunity to play the tech before you get killed by it. So speed boost is a pretty dangerous thing. So if there's a tech here, then I would expect to see it.
Yeah, that giant killer is very scary.
Yeah,
You can see it right over there in the corner, this bottom right-hand corner of the screen.
looming.
+4 power.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the reasons it is so scary is that it's basically impossible to tech, because most of the time when it's being played, it's from Beheaded hitting with Phaser successfully, and when you do that, suddenly you've got the boost in play and advantage, and all of a sudden, that dive that you had in hand ready to tech a dangerous boost doesn't do anything for you.
You, beheaded is very scary when you get him at range, just because of Phaser. He doesn't have a whole lot of options at range besides infantry bow and, up to a certain point, wrenching whip.
Mm-hmm.
But Phaser is close 8, advance 1, boost to this card.
Yeah, and that
And
that
you get Giant Killer, and
and
suddenly
and
things become a very
advantage.
bad. Oh, and advantage, yep.
Yeah, so the canonical combo there is probably prepping into +2 speed. Maybe just doesn't have the options in hand. Again, past Snow Catsune, uh, an enigmatic mind. Striking from here, I think this makes total sense as Beheaded. I think pretty much anything that you're doing here feels pretty strong. Um,
What do you think the worst case scenario is here?
on
Dive?
I think Dive is very, very scary here. Dive basically is unbeatable. I mean, if you EX cross, you can play the other copy of Swoop and get away from it at least, but I think you'd still get hit. Um, yeah, I really do think that Dive is, other than EX attacks, is very, very good here.
Yeah, I think in general Dive is the best. Moves him into the middle of the board, gets better
Yep.
positioning.
So this is, yeah. So that is uh so
Dive attack.
dive attack. So you're playing massively above curve and trading down for your trouble, which is not something you want to see. Um, I think if you are on curve anyway, dive attack is already dive attack. It doesn't really become more dive attack if it's +2 speed, and now you've spent a very very significant boost and an attack to deal 3 damage. You got your gauge, but in doing so, you've got yourself down to 8 life. You're ready to exceed now, um, but you've paid a huge amount of resources, including your life, to get to this point. Um,
And as you might have seen in the chat, both me and Hans, assumed that this attack was going to be Wrenching Whip from Beheaded.
Mhm.
And while not the worst case scenario, it still moves into odd si- into a better situation for Beheaded at the very least.
Yeah,
A little bit of damage gets into a better range.
I think that the option to play the focus there makes a ton of sense as you back up and exceed. Um, you are mitigating the threat of wrenching whip. If they play dive instead, you're drawing a card. At least you're not hitting, but it's close enough. You've got armor on it, so it's not that bad for you. You're not losing to spike. Tactics comes up. Really, really interesting choice to play tactics here. It seems like KZB's uh, kind of whole strategy with Beheaded so far has been to play on or above curve. We've seen, very honest range options out of him with that dive attack and then that boosted above curve dive attack. Um, really just like seems like trying to get gauge at all costs. When you have 8 life, I think tactics is uh, survival might actually. I don't know if it helps you enough. Tactics will
I
help
don't
you
know.
get more gauge.
It's an odd situation. Do you th- theoretically the plus power could help you in this situation, help you hit more break points and hit cleanly a bit better?
Sure,
Or do you want the armor on the other side to help you survive a bit longer, but at the other hand you're on 8
8
life?
life. Yeah, how much
I
does one
tactics
armor?
is
Yeah.
sorry, go
No,
ahead.
no, no, no. Please, I interrupted you. Tactics. You were saying.
Tactics is another option that lets you maybe hit cleanly a bit more, but
Yeah.
against Propeller, who is very movement heavy and
Can choose their
doesn't
range.
and has decent ranged options as well. I don't think tactics was the right option here.
Yeah. So this was a this I remember watching this and trying to figure out what this EX attack was. To me, this is EX spike. Um, because you were at the perfect opportunity to play Saber Lunge or Assault, which are your other things that you can EX here, and you moved out of that range in order to do something else. And there's not a lot of other
Moving out of range,
EXs.
moving out of 3 into 2 is very telling here in what options I have.
Yeah.
Like you said, if it was Saber Lunge, I would have stayed at 3 and
Yep. Same with
kept the
Assault.
maximum power.
Yeah. Same with Assault. This feels spiky. I think with KZB's +1 speed, um, you have lots of ways to mitigate that. But if you aren't reading this game state right, and um, you don't notice how much that telegraphs that spike, I think that it's very easy to misread the situation. Um, but
I
even
think this was a misplay for me. I think I did misread the situation and move forward unintentionally,
I
creating a situation where they can predict what I have and losing my mix up.
I also yeah, and it's down to your opponent now to recognize that mistake on your part. Um, I also think that just striking with an EX attack into +1 speed, +1 power beheaded, especially with a 3 speed option. I don't remember if this is actually EX spike, but it certainly feels like it. Um, is a very risky play. I also can't remember if it works out for you here. Assuming that is the play that you're making. But yeah, we will see if KZB reads the situation right. Um, Easy to get flustered when you're staring down the barrel of an EX attack. Um, but You definitely have the ability if you're cognizant to figure out what your opponent's playing, what your opponent's likely to be playing, and hopefully play around it. It's also very possible that you just don't have options that can deal with EX spike. But you know, if you've got a cross, if you've got an assault, for the most part, you're gonna be okay. Even a dive at this range. That looks like twin daggers into the spike. Yeah. So you are actually probably pretty happy about that, right? Because you don't. I don't think you get stunned.
No, that's only 3 against my. I believe it's total 6. 1 armor, 5 guard off the DX.
Yeah, that's an
So I
interesting.
only take 2 damage from that twin dag. It's a very interesting play from KZB.
Yeah, I think that he actually did. Um, I think he actually did figure out what the mix up was there, but played something that I I mean it trades down on it. Which is if you have the read, it's I guess it's possible that you just had nothing left in your hand that could mitigate that spike. But if you have tactics down, I mean, wave of denial works just fine on it. Like it it would be surprising to me if Beheaded didn't have anything that could deal with a 4 speed option when you have +1 speed, +1 power. KZB
Yeah,
prepping.
the +1 the +1 speed, +1 power on. Oh, I remember this. I tried to search his discard and
Yeah,
accidentally spread it out.
it'll happen. I've said this on pretty much every commentary that I've been a part of here. Never let anybody tell you that Exceed doesn't have uh, like tech or doesn't have an execution requirement because it is very easy to mess up when you're playing on TTS.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times I've tried to rename something on TTS and accidentally hit delete instead of the
Oh
name
yeah,
line.
yeah. A lot of those buttons are right next to each other, and in the heat of the moment, it's very easy to do something that you didn't mean to do. All right. So once again, we've got KZB at a potentially backbreaking life total here. You know, it's this might actually be a lost game. Uh, you know, if this is just regular all cross, this this probably wins the game. He does have blocks up. Like he is still ready to prolong this game if he needs to. Um, but I think that we are coming down to the end here pretty quickly with Beheaded at 2 life. Even if he does manage to survive a few more turns, I think that there's not a lot. There's the block out. Block makes a lot of sense. Uh, After you see the spikes go down, to me it seems like you're playing around that block. You're saber lunging, probably to gain
Yeah,
advantage.
yeah. Remember it was for advantage. I know they had. I believe they have both of their blocks up and at least one focus, maybe both of their
Yep.
focuses,
No, they had pretty
and
much
both of their
assault
assault
shields. Yeah,
shields
they had
as well.
every
They had a
possible
lot of
thing with armor.
armor,
Yeah. So I think that you're just
a
kind
lot
of
of armor, a lot of guard.
you're
I'm
just
just trying to keep hitting them until,
they run out. Yep.
yeah, until they run out of armor.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense, especially after your uh your EX spike is gone. You don't have any more armor or guard to deal with. Or I'm sorry, ignore armor, ignore guard to deal with on your side. So with that advantage, you're striking again, just trying to pepper them with attacks to keep making them lose hand size, um, in order uh, to give them, in order basically to run them out of resources until they can't block anymore.
Yeah, that was the game plan. Yeah. Eventually, they're going to run out of options to beat me.
Yeah, I wonder at what point. Like, I actually kind of feel like if that is your game plan, then just wild swinging um, is not a bad option. Uh, Maybe not from 3. Maybe move to 2 first before you do it, and maybe you're you've got too many cannonballs and things like that still in your deck. But if
I
you,
think there's at least one cannonball left in
yeah,
there.
no, both of them are down.
And
Full
I
broad.
believe full broadsides. I
Yeah.
believe both full broadsides are still in the deck.
Yep, they are, but you can also invalidate them. And if your only goal here is just to do 2 damage,
Yeah, but full broadside in most cases is. I don't want to invalidate that.
yeah,
In most cases that's going to hit.
that's very true. Yeah,
I
so
think I think what you say, going to range 2 and wild swinging is a very valid option here.
yeah, I mean, maybe not with the current deck comp, but if your only goal is to run beheaded out of defensive options, you're maintaining hand size while you're doing it. If you're wild swinging, you're still forcing him to respect the entire spectrum of mix-ups that you can be playing because he doesn't know what you're playing because you don't know what you're playing.
I believe I still had quite a few fast options in my deck as well. I know I had at least one cross, maybe two,
Mm-hmm.
and just in general, Propeller is a very fast character.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a 6 speed special. He's got a 5 speed special. Um, Saber lunge is a whirl. It's above curve at 3. Um, yeah, yeah, I think we're just waiting on KZB to respond with something here. I think we're coming up to one of the last plays of this game.
I think so. I think in Exceed they call this the Polterthink. In Fate Domination we call it the POTUS Think.
Okay,
Very similar, but
so it looks like, oh, so
it's
we got assault shield. Is this enough? Nope, that's game. That's not enough armor to survive that attack. All right.
I at my hand was Saber Lunge, Assault. Think I might have actually had two assaults in hand at this point.
Yeah.
Honestly, my plan was just keep hitting them with advantage
Yeah.
until the
Until
numbers go down.
until he doesn't have any options anymore. That makes total sense. All right. Snow, thank you so much for joining me on commentary here. It's been a real pleasure. Really, really appreciated giving some insights into the game. As we run out of video here. Uh, Thank you so much. I know that you're coming off of another game, the game after this, because of the situation that we find ourselves in to do post commentary. It kind of all went out of order. But thank you so much for taking some time today and hanging out with me and talking about Exceed.
Oh, well, thank you. It was very nice being here, and I hope I gave you a bit of insight into whatever crazy shenanigans were going through my mind at the time.
Yeah, I mean, it won you the game, so I don't think the shenanigans were that crazy.
Yeah, you know what? That's fair.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to sign off. Thanks again. And I will see everybody around for the next one. Bye, everybody.